it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket.
To another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he, and we are here with our panel. Mr. CJ Jones, how you doing, sir?
President accounting for.
Okay, okay. And Mr. Brad Calden, how you doing, sir?
Sir, always a pleasure to be with you, man.
All right, all right.
Good.
Well, you know, it's funny. We have been sitting there talking off air about football because the NFL released its 2021 football schedule this week, and this is the time of year where everybody's excited. The draft just happened. Free agency will be happening soon, and in 2 months from now, training camps will be fully open. And it's going to be that time where everybody has that renewed sense of hope and, you know, the sky's the limit and all that good stuff. And for some teams, by the time opening week comes or week after, all their hopes and dreams are over pretty quickly. But for right now, it's the season of optimism. Everybody feels like I got as good of a shot as anybody else. Our team can do a lot of different things. And we've been looking at our different teams and talking about their levels of success. But one of the weirdest, oddest things that happened this week as well is that for anyone that doesn't know, Urban Meyer, who was the coach of Ohio State, also the coach of Florida, when he was the coach of Florida, he had some quarterbacks like Chris Leak, who is actually from Charlotte, who went to West Charlotte High School. Shout out Chris Lee.
Really?
And yeah, Chris was a great quarterback.
I remember Chris.
Great high school quarterback. Awesome. Went to Florida, did his thing, but there was another up-and-coming guy named Tim Tebow. And everybody loved good old Tim Tebow. People started doing the Tebow, which is getting on one knee and acting like you're praying when you something good. And everybody loved that, which was kind of funny. He got on that knee, and that was never a problem. But anyway, I ain't gonna go there yet. But Tebow has been out. Tebow got drafted by the Denver Broncos out of Florida. Did not play long in Denver. Bounced around, and then ended up not being in the league. Part of the reason that he didn't really make it in the league is that fundamentally Tim Tebow was never a quarterback. Even in college, Tebow often was a wildcat quarterback in that he would take off and run. And because of his size and somebody that would get that much steam going, he was pretty good because he could just lower his shoulder and really get into any defensive back trying to come up on him or even a linebacker. He was just that big. So they could make that work. They'd run a lot of power, a lot of design runs and stuff like that, stretch power left, power right. Never really stuff up the middle, but he was big. He was the size of a tight end. And a lot of people said, you know, if he goes to the NFL, maybe he should do what some quarterbacks do. Some become receivers. Oh, Lord, he just changed it to the Rams. So instead of becoming a receiver, he could become a tight end because of his body frame. And Tebow resisted that. And, you know, a lot of quarterbacks, they don't want to hear, hey, in the next level, I need to change and become a different position. Some players have made very well off of that. You know, take Amendola. No, it wasn't Amendola. It was who just retired from the Patriots.
The other guy.
Edelman. Edelman used to be a quarterback.
Yeah.
He turned himself into a receiver.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a quarterback.
Okay.
And he made a very good career of being a decent receiver. Terrell Pryor went to Ohio State, was a quarterback, came to the NFL, and he changed positions and became a pretty decent receiver. So it does happen, but Tim Tebow just resisted it, said, I ain't doing it, and it didn't work out for him. Well, now that his college coach has now become the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they really had a hard time last year at their tight end position, and they didn't really address the tight end position until later in the draft. Urban Meyer decides, I wonder if Timmy T's done doing commentary on ESPN, because he also tried baseball for a while. That didn't work out. He just played in the minor leagues. But he worked him out for a tight end position with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he signed a one-year contract to play with them. Now, this has caused a lot of backlash. Some people are like, hey, if you're given that opportunity, why not take it? Some former players are like, hey, this is privilege at its greatest because he's been removed from the league for 6 years. He's never played the tight end position. And now all of a sudden, because his college coach gets a job, now he gets a hookup to join the NFL team. Not everybody gets on the NFL team. The other day, there was a draft. A whole lot of people got drafted, but there were a whole lot of people who did not get drafted. And it's like Tim Tebow gets pushed to the front of the line, and he ain't snapped a football professionally in over 6 years. How y'all feeling about that? Should Tebow have even been given the opportunity to work out and then get a one-year contract?
Just off the strength of reputation, hence the reason why I don't really get down with privilege. I think everything needs to be earned. Everything. Work them out, just like how they was trying to push my 49er quarterback through, and he was having to try to prove himself again to be worked up, and he was only out for like a year or so. And it was like, oh no, you got to prove yourself. You got to work out. We got to see your videos and all this other stuff. Yeah. So yeah. Nah. In this particular case, and pretty much in almost any case, privilege, X that. Prove yourself, bro.
Well, according to them, he came in, they worked him out. They said he was in good shape, and he probably did a couple of drills and stuff like that. My problem is that unless he really stunk it up in the workout, it was pretty much a foregone conclusion he was going to get signed. I mean, the suspense was just really low. Everybody pretty much knew if Urban Meyer presented him with the idea to come in and work out, that unless they saw him look like Frank Gore out there at 107 years old, it was pretty much, and hell, I'm not sleeping on Frank. Frank did all right for them Jets last year, considering his age.
Yeah, I don't get the Frank Gore reference. Frank Gore is killing it.
So my reference
he cannot
is
be tackled.
That's true. But he does look old at times. Regardless of the fact that he can't be brought down. So I'm just saying, as long as Tebow's 33 years old now. So what I'm saying is, as long as he doesn't look like those years have really caught up with him, then he has a good chance at, making the team, because Urban Meyer wasn't going to put it out there unless he just had no belief that Tim Tebow was in good shape. I know.
So when I first heard,
there he is.
It was hey Jay, how we doing, bro?
Bro, you look jet lagged in a mug.
I can't see. I can't see him. You can see him. There he is.
Yeah, I can see him.
Yeah,
I can see him now. What's up, Jermaine Barker?
Hey, sorry to interrupt whatever intelligent conversation you gentlemen were having.
All right, well, where are you right now?
You don't want to know.
Oh, go ahead and say it, Jermaine.
I'm in Germany.
Oh,
I'm in Germany.
Nice.
Okay, nice. You went way north of what I was saying. Okay.
What time is it over there?
It's midnight. It's 12:38.
Okay, 6 hours. Okay.
6 hours ahead. 6
Okay.
hours ahead. Yeah.
Well, no, we just actually, Jermaine, we just got started not too long ago.
Right.
And because we spent a lot of time talking about off air, the NFL season coming up, schedules just got released this week. Kind of talking about how the teams were doing. You know, this is the time now. Everybody's real optimistic about what the teams can and, you know, should be able to do. And everybody's got a shot and all that stuff. But I just kind of brought up the fact that also what happened this week too, is that Tim Tebow was allowed to work out for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then, of course, he was signed to a one-year contract. And the whole idea is that unless he stunk it up and looked really, really bad in the workouts, it was pretty much a pre-done conclusion that he was going to be added to the team roster. Some people are embracing it. Some people are giving it backlash because of the whole idea that not every player in the draft got drafted this year, yet Tebow gets pushed to the front of the line just because of his previous relationship with Urban Meyer. Should it be that way, or should he really, you know, just move on and, you know, do something else? Or is it a thing of, hey, if somebody offers you something and you feel like you're good enough and it's your dream, you should do it. But given the fact that when he left, he was a quarterback and he had resisted all those years to change over to a tight end. I know it's a lot.
So that's a lot, right?
Yeah,
it's a lot. But I'll say this: if you live in America, you live in a place with relationships, and so I mean, no, this is even racism. This is just relationship stuff. Like, how many times have you known somebody for familiar reasons, say Donald Trump Jr. or say Ivanka, they got a position and stuff that they didn't deserve because they knew somebody. So this is not like the first time this has happened, right?
yeah.
Right, you know, so it's all about, I mean, and it's not even that big. Like, you can go locally and think to yourself, there's somebody that you know that got a position because their uncle, a family friend, somebody, you know, who was in a fraternity, you know, some kind of connection stuff got them. And so he had a connection with the ball coach. And he said, hey, this was my guy, and I still believe in my guy, and I'm going to give him a shot. And for everybody else, you know, it is what it is. But that's not different from anything else. And I know a lot of people have spun this into the, but what about cap conversation? But in my mind, it's a different conversation. Yeah. And the reason it's a different conversation is that Cap's not trash. And so I wouldn't include him in this conversation. Cap can still play. We all know what's keeping him out of the league.
Right.
And so I'm not going to include this in this conversation because these are two different dynamics. So if some people they might want to use this as a talking point to say, hey, this is unfair, but we knew that shit was unfair before this.
Well, and Jermaine, you're right though.
Of the owners.
You're right. I've actually, you know, I have better examples. When you see coaches hire their sons as offensive coordinators, and they'll be on the same teams and stuff like that. We see it all the time where they'll hire, or you'll see coaches that worked together before hire a coach that they worked with before. How many times did Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio work together? You know, people do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when I first heard, I immediately made that comparison to Cap. I realized that he wasn't coming back as a quarterback. He's coming back as a tight end. And then I said, you know what? I'm getting older. I'm gonna stop being so damn judgmental of people, man. You know, he's going to play with his former ball coach. They won 1 or 2 chips together. Look, let them ball out. The stadium needs it. That city needs it. That team needs it. Let them ball out. Let them have fun. Kappa catch. I mean, he'll catch 2 or 3 passes, you know, in the season and whatever. Who cares?
That's a good point.
Right, who cares?
That's a good point. And, you know, even last year, if you think about it, in Tampa, would Gronk have come out of retirement if Brady didn't sit there and call him up and say, hey, I need you in Tampa?
That's right.
Would Antonio Brown end up on the team?
Exactly.
Probably not.
That's right.
When nobody else ringing Antonio Brown's phone.
No.
That's right.
And he came back to Tampa this year without a long-term agreement, so they still ain't ringing his phone like that. So
I just initially thought he was coming back as a quarterback. That would have been, you
Interesting.
know, that would have been. And then I was like, well, wait, isn't Urban Meyer a Trump supporter? You know, and all things are connected to Trump.
but you know what? In some ways, it's not that bad of an idea from the standpoint that you can have him listed as a tight end. Now you can have two quarterbacks on your team and have him technically as your third quarterback in case the other two get hurt. Because you got Trevor Lawrence and then whoever's backing up Trevor. Now you hope it doesn't get to that, but we saw last year with COVID, with Denver and everything, they ended up all three were out, and then they had to turn to somebody else that never played quarterback.
Right.
Or he hadn't played
As
since high school.
But even on paper, he's a horrible quarterback, right? So, but yeah, ideally he can be your.
I was like, well, he was never a quarterback. He was never a quarterback. He is no more quarterback than I'm a quarterback.
Right.
He's
even
always
at
been
Florida,
a tight end.
Florida, remember at Florida, it was 5-yard pass to Percy Harvin, touchdown, right?
Right.
That's how it worked.
Well, yeah, like I told Jermaine before you came on, like I had said, he was more or less like a wildcat quarterback. Right. There were so many designed runs for him. Did we get Jermaine free? Jermaine froze up on us.
Who's a real quarterback?
Here he is. You there, Jermaine?
He's there. We just keep.
Yeah, I think he froze up.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we'll work on getting Jermaine back in. I think he went out. He's gonna come back in, and there he is. You there, Jay?
Okay.
You're on mute right now.
Open your mic up, Jay. Your mic is muted, Jay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Sorry, bad internet over here.
It's all good. Yeah, we were saying. I don't know if you heard me, but we were saying before you came in that he was pretty much like a wildcat quarterback in that he basically got handed the ball and then he decided it was like an RPO. If he was going to hand it off to Harvin, if he was going to do a quick dump, or if he was going to run it with himself. But it was a lot of power left, power right, a lot of stuff like that you would normally hand off to a running back, and he just would keep the ball. And that's how he really made it.
Who's my guy in New Orleans? Is it Hill?
Taysom Hill?
Is it Hill down in New Orleans?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what they're looking for, right? Is they're looking for that kind of player, somebody who can, and you know. So I'm not taking anything away from his talent. I think that he was stubborn and a bit prideful, which I find hard to believe somebody who professes their love for Jesus so much, but prideful about trying to stay in that position as a quarterback, knowing that he wasn't really a quarterback. That, you know, that's like, you know, Hill down there in New Orleans talking about, well, I could took Breeze's spot. No, you can't. You have a position to play, and I think that he'll work well in somebody's offense. I mean, he seems to have stayed in shape and stuff. I'm not worried about him coming in out of shape. He might not be in football shape, but he's been in shape, and you know, and this is early enough for him to get into football shape. So, you know, Godspeed to him. And yeah, anytime somebody offers you a large sum of money, take it.
Yeah. Well, you know, like I mentioned before you come on too, you know, Terrell Pryor, quarterback, Ohio State, now becomes a wide receiver. Yep. Julian Edelman was a quarterback, becomes a receiver for the Patriots for a very long time. So, you know, they even tried to get Lamar Jackson to change, and his mama flat out told him, "You ain't you're a quarterback." So, and that does work out for every Lamar Jackson where that does work out. You know, there's going to be other players where if they had maybe changed
Tim Tebow.
Yeah, or Surratt down in North Carolina became a defensive back, and he's a great defensive back. He was a quarterback for a while.
The shame with Tim Tebow is that had he actually changed coming out of college and stuff, we might be talking about his Hall of Fame career at this point. Because, like I say, now I'm going to shit him all day. Again, he stole a good job from Chris Leak, who's from Independence High School out of Charlotte.
Independence, that's right, not West Charlotte.
That was
Independence, yes. I'd say West Charlotte was
and that was his chip. That Tim was hosting the trophy for and acting like he had ran them through the season, and Chris had run them all the way to the championship. But I digress begrudgingly. And so, but yeah, if he just changed positions coming out of college and stuff, I mean, this is a whole different conversation and stuff. It's not a conversation at all, right? We're just talking about him like we talk about Gronk and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. He'd probably still be in the league barring any injury. That's true. That's true. And he wouldn't have never wanted to play minor league football.
If you want to talk about Tim Tebow and Kaepernick and stuff, what I would say is it would be interesting had changed positions, been a good tight end, and had still been kneeling before games when Cap decided that he was going to do it before games to see how that would have played out. That's my what if.
Yeah, right. That'd be interesting. Well, just wanted to open up with the softball question.
Appreciate it.
And other things going on in the news. Of course, it's been wildly speculated, even the last time we were on, that this crazy Trump-looking party would not distance themselves away from the grab him by the coochie man, would not distance themselves from Steve King for the various long time from Iowa. They finally did when his white supremacy just started becoming such a distraction. I think that's the only reason they distanced themselves from him and pretty much excommunicated him, even though he was still technically in the party for a while. Even with the things going on with Matt Gaetz, the possibility that he's allegedly touched underage child, that he's involved in child trafficking, still holding committee memberships, which at the very least he should be removed from those until he's cleared. Barring all those things, the one thing that they just could not get rid of was the fact that Liz Chaney would not tout the line that Donald Trump won the election and it was stolen from him. And for that, her penalty was remove her from her her leadership position. Even though just as recently as yesterday, the crazy Marjorie Taylor Greene is out in the parking lot confronting AOC about crazy stuff, about being terrorist and everything else. She gets stripped of her committeeships, not by Kevin McCarthy, who is the Republican leader, but actually by the Democrats because they have the majority, which it shouldn't have been up to them to have to do it, but because this spineless fool wouldn't do it, they had to do it. Yet Liz Chaney, who I don't agree with one thing, ideology from her at all she basically did was tell the truth. And for that, you got to go. Because these fools are still more afraid of Donald Trump sitting in Mar-a-Lago eating cheeseburgers than anything else. And the fact, and honestly, it's because he still has a huge following. There was a poll that just came out recently where it looks like more people are Donald Trump followers than they are Republicans. And honestly, the GOP knows this. They know this poll. They've known this poll. This is why they're doing what they're doing, in my opinion, is because they can read the tea leaves to know that if they don't support this man, there goes a lot of their voting base. So,
and that's what it's the ultimate sacrifice. I'm sorry, Jay. Go ahead.
I heard this joke one time, and basically the was there was a guy smoking one, and he's at this house party, right? He goes downstairs, and they're doing. I'm called the cops, like they're in there doing drugs and stuff, and that's kind of like Liz Chaney. I mean, they're all doing drugs. Hers might just be a little bit less on this one. It might not be the hard stuff. But they're all in the same camp together, and she should be kicked out of leadership in the Republican Party because she's not saying what they wanted to say. And I don't care if you're a cannibal, if you're not willing to eat the thigh meat, you got to go. So you have to understand that if that's your party, that's your party. Like when we roll, we roll. Like if I say, hey, we rolling out, right? You right. Up for everything. You up for the shit. You with the shits is what they used to say.
Right, exactly.
And so the whole thing about Donald Trump, it is the party. It's not the party Lincoln. It's the party of Trump and stuff. And believe me, it wasn't because she was doing some great sacrifice. It wasn't. It was political. The whole idea was she was trying to turn the base. Her rudder's not big enough to turn the ship. And so she made a gamble. And believe me, I believe the gamble will work out for her long term. Because no one is going to gain. The Republican Party is what's his name? Romney said, we're not going to gain any more followers, but we could lose them because of this move. And so I don't think the Republicans are going to gain anybody. They're just going to solidify their base. But their base is their base. They already believe crazy shit. So they're not going to get any more people going, oh, yeah, they're doing the right thing. But Liz has some stuff to gain by politically and stuff. So I don't weep any tears for her. She'll be just fine and stuff. I just can't find in my heart to feel sympathy for any rich person, especially one that comes with the last name Chaney.
Amen to that. Yeah, I don't feel bad for her at all because number one, she didn't sign up for the Trump party in some ways. In some ways she did. Because it didn't start out because what they have transformed to has been slowly changing before Trump even came into the picture. And at any time,
yeah, but let me stop you. When did she speak up? When did she speak up in the last 2 years? In the last year?
That's my point.
That's
my point.
You haven't heard her.
That's my point. Yeah. So she's been cool with everything else apparently until January the 6th. He ain't started his term on January the 6th. Hell, he was almost out the door. That's my point. So you've been rocking with him the whole time. As a matter of fact, the person that's replacing her has voted fewer times with Trump policies than she has. So she's been the conservatives' conservative. So she's been rocking with whatever you want to call that party for not only the last 4 years, but even before that. And none of the things that they did before that was ever too much. So all of a sudden, he finally crossed this line with her where I've done some crazy shit with you, but I just can't go no further.
Well, I mean,
but the stuff that you went with was pretty bad. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brad.
When you expand that out and you saw a couple of people on the House floor the night of January 6th saying, he crossed the line, I'm done, only on January 7th, 8th, and 9th to do a quick turnaround.
Right.
And all of a sudden, his buddy again. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least for her. And I'm not a Liz Chaney apologist. I don't really care for her. But at least she's taking a stand and saying, right or wrong, hurt me forever for the rest of my life. I'm taking a stand here. What you did was fucked up and foul, and I'm not with it. I'm not with it. You crossed the line. I'm not with it. It may hurt me. It did hurt her, but I think it's going to come back around full circle, and she'll be in play again. She'll be in play down the line. Because the Republican Party, they're at a crossroads. They got to figure out whether they're going to, fall apart and go further into this hole, or they're going to split, fraction, and have a third party emerge. And
well, they've already gone into that hole.
It's just,
when do they get elected?
I was about to say, it's just like our brother just said, you either all in or you ain't. This party is already established. It is not the Republican Party of old, so to speak. This is the in your face, I don't give a damn what you gonna do about it party. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm an insurrectionist. Yeah, I'm all about status. Yeah, I'm all about privilege. I'm all about that. I'm grabbing by all that. What you gonna do?
CJ, I think because they're so spineless, what really happened, I think honestly, I don't believe all of them thought this, but I believe enough of them truly believe that once he left, things could go back to what it was before him, good or bad or whatever.
No,
they thought that was better.
Because you remember what we said when they first allowed him into this office. They opened up a can. You can't reclose a can, yo.
I think they believe they could.
You cannot reclose a can.
Their arrogance and their hubris.
In their mind, maybe it was a Ziploc bag, but no, this was a can.
Yeah.
And once you literally cut that can open, you can't just go back and reseal it and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, we let
like
this
it never
out.
happened.
No. Right. No. And then some of them, I mean, even listening to the oversight party that's looking back over the happenings of January 6th.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I had to turn it off. I had to turn it off.
Oh yeah, when the guy said it was just a bunch of people there, like they were just what do you call
I
them?
shared that on my post.
On a visit or a tour.
Right. Yeah, going on a tour of the White House. I was like, even Whoopi was like, "What's he smoking?" Bro, listen.
As he then turned around and said that he was one of the people barricading the door. You do that for regular people, just sightseeing?
As much as I like to talk, I was beyond a response. I was just like, all my intelligence just kind of like seeped out my ear, bro. I was like,
but it really shouldn't, because that only confirms even more. They're not standing on the ledge looking down into the hole. They're in the hole. They're all in. Because even the ones that may have thought that they would get their party back on January the 20th have come at least now to the realization there is no going back. Because I said whether he lived at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue or not, just because he's down in Florida doesn't mean that everything goes back. It is what it is.
And
now.
I don't know why would anybody would have even for the slightest moment thought that was going to happen.
Because they thought his source of power was the White House. He
made his footprint.
Yeah, but they thought his source of power was being in the White House, being in that seat, being in that role, having that title. And they figured once he was no longer the president, but now a former president, then now we can start to be the party of fiscal responsibility again. Now we can be the party of family values. Now we can, but they can't.
Well, you guys have got to understand that Donald Trump is like the Tex Winter of the Republican Party. He has put this motion offense into place that everybody fell in love with. And so the triangle offense that Tex put in that Phil took credit for, which is kind of like the Republican Party going to take credit for this stuff.
Stop
it.
Yeah,
understand. Mm-hmm. What happened was that they saw how his rhetoric energized their base. And that's what they cared about, because the ultimate goal is to stay in power so you can push policy. How do you do that? You got to have a base, you got to have following and stuff. And he unified and energized the base in a way that they hadn't been able to do. And it's not that they're weak. They have chosen. They have steely spines, because it takes a lot to look at yourself in the mirror and go, you know what? I'm just going to be racist. I'm just going to go out there. As my brother likes to say, I'm just going to say the quiet things out loud. Because people seem to be attracted to that pseudo honesty that he projects. Excuse me, gas station chicken. What the party has said, even with this Liz Chaney thing, is that no, this is us. This is what we're about. This is the way we're moving forward and stuff. And we've already said for years that we knew that the whole being financially responsible thing was a lie. We've known for years that they're not really family values and stuff. What they are traditional American values. If you want to read into that, I can cut through the bullshit and say white people's idea, white Americans with their values and stuff, because they were family values and stuff. They'd understand that they're more single families, single parent households and stuff. The people are dealing with their kids with gender crisis, not crisis, but going through identity stuff. They would change along to meet family values and what's reflected in America today, and that's not what they're saying. They're saying that we want to make it great again. We want to take it back to the 20s. We want to take it back to the 1800s. If we could get away with it, we would lock you niggas back up again. And believe me, I'm just waiting for somebody to go all the way there. But this party is firmly headed in that direction. And so, and again, I don't think that Chaney's going to have a hard time bouncing back. She made her stay. She made her stand and stuff, and she'll get points for that because she's getting love from the Democrats, and everybody's speaking up for her. And she's a woman, and they're trying to take the voice of a woman away and stuff.
Oh. And
we all know that's not what they do. They throw their panties in a glove compartment and run them off a bridge if they really want to get rid of them. But the Republicans have. That was from you, Brian. I thought you would get that one. But the Republicans have just been. Thank you. The Republicans are just, they are the heartless bastards that we thought they were, and people love them for that because there's a lot of the country, almost. How many votes did he get? 70 million.
70 million.
Yeah, 70 million people out there.
75, something like that.
70 million people. 7 million people believe the shit he was talking about.
So basically, it was like 25% of the country.
Yeah,
about 30.
25%. I'm pushing 30.
Jermaine, tell me this, man.
Which honestly would come from a country that was 100% against niggas. Is a good number. We're down.
The mods. I like the mods.
So Jermaine, on that same note, how is this not cancel culture? When this is the party that talks about
don't do
they're canceling
that,
Dr. They're canceling Mr. Potato Head. Joe Biden ain't gonna let you eat no meat.
They gonna say that. Somebody gonna hear you say that and they gonna be like, oh yes, this is
how do they with a straight face call things cancel culture on the left? They just had a voice vote to get rid of a conservative Republican from her leadership position. How do they even, when they push their lips together, the words cancel culture fall out?
First of all, when Muhammad Ali decided that he was gonna fight in the wars for white people and stuff, they locked his ass up. And so what I would say to you is that this whole thing, the whole cancel culture thing, first of all, I'm tired of white people coming in the black community and stealing shit from us and then rebranding it the wrong way and stuff. This is the reason we got to keep coming up with new shit because they keep fucking up the shit that we're doing. And I mean that in the best possible way. Because that was our thing, right? That was within the black community talking about cancel culture and stuff, and we knew what it meant. And they repurposed it, and it doesn't mean the same thing. And it's just a convenience. It's just something that it's just a talking point for them. There's no such thing as cancel culture. Not in the terms of, not in Republican terms. There's no such thing. It's just another phrase for them to energize their base and get other people whipped up into a frenzy about something that doesn't mean anything at all. So to answer your question, how is this not? It probably is, but what does it matter? Because who are we talking about? We're talking about people who don't even play by their own rules. They set rules, and as black people, we understand this. They set rules for us that don't apply to them.
Right.
Yeah.
How often? Well, let's do your history lesson. Forever. Remember, if you think about all these dates, if slavery started in 1619 and the Declaration of Independence and the 4th of July, we talk about when Juneteenth actually happened and stuff, I understand why we go so hard for the 4th of July because we weren't even free. It was like 80-something years later.
Yeah.
And so, but they celebrated independence in front of us. They had a different set of rules for themselves and a different set of rules for us. Nothing has changed about that. The rules have changed because they keep sliding.
I want you to hold that too, because next week I planned on, just in case you weren't going to make it on this one, for us to really go into the whole 1619 project and how a lot of these different congressional districts are trying to make it where educators can have a limited curriculum and not teach real history. So keep that energy there, because
critical race theory.
Yeah, we definitely want to go there because they're having a hard time wanting to, go down that rabbit hole because they're afraid that their kids gonna end up woke. they find out what their family really did. So yeah, we'll definitely get into that. But yeah, I wanted to
nothing is even hidden.
Get your thoughts on the Liz Chaney thing, and also the fact that we got another state, 2 states, Florida and Arizona, following Georgia's lead and trying to come up with even more and more restrictive voter rights legislation.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's only going to be one solution to this. Well, 2 solutions. First solution is that we're going to have to do even more to get our votes counted and make sure that they're counted correctly. We cannot lose steam, but we have to now see that we cannot just wait every 4 years to get involved in elections. These people are the ones that we elect to the states and to the states and the governorships and things like that. That's where it all starts. These are the ones that set up the state's individual voting laws. So we got to sit there and be more involved in who we're putting in, because they're basically saying, hey, we're trying to make it where your vote isn't going to count. We are not interested in having the government regulate gerrymandering, which I think that is a great thing if they have an independent organization come in and draw district lines, so that whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're not drawing lines that favor one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because at the end of the day, the voters need to pick their politicians, not the politicians picking their voters. That's what's going on with a lot of these states restricting. How do you say that you're making it easier for people to vote, but you're restricting when they can vote? You're restricting how they can vote. You know, but that's their line. They keep saying,
you're muddying the waters. You're muddying the waters so people don't understand it. It's like in New York, you go try to park in Midtown New York, and you know, in every city there are parking signs, right? New York has like 5 or 6 parking signs.
Oh my God.
Where you can park. I mean, it's, you know, park at your own peril, because you're going to get a ticket. And then you look at the 3rd sign. Yeah, no, you can only park here Tuesday night between 3 and 4 a.m. with a note from your grandmother.
Except on this day when you can't because of this. Or
so that's what they're doing.
But it's a truck loading zone, so you can't until 7 p.m. So
they're tricking people, they're muddying the waters, so you don't understand what the rules are anymore. And
then the hope, Brad, is just for you to simply give up. It's where you say, you know what?
That's the point.
Yeah, F it.
That's the point.
Because what they found is that when they made it easier because of COVID for people to simply just get a ballot in the mail, fill it out. I mean, still fill it out based on what they really felt and stuff. Oh, I don't have to stand in a long line to vote? Of course I'll vote. Once you start removing the barriers from me to vote, yeah, I'll be more involved in voting. Well, that worked too well, because a lot, like take Florida, for instance. They have been a very successful state even after the election. Ron DeSantis sat there and praised the fact that Florida was always able to do mail-in votes and everything would be right and above board. Yet he then turns around and signs a piece of legislation because of the security of the vote. But you just said, damn near 6 months ago, that everything went right in the state of Florida. So what was the change for? You were fixing a problem that didn't exist?
Well, so I'll say this. One, I want to refute something. I don't think the waters are being muddied. I'm not going to Google this, but I'm going to say that most of the college degrees still go to white people, white males and women. I'm going to say an overwhelming amount. So there's a lot of educated people on that side of the conversation. And so they're not confused about what's going on. This is just what great granddaddy would have done. And maybe not in so many words, but a lot of stuff. I'm really surprised there's not a literacy test being put out there for this stuff. So I don't think that there's any confusion. I think they purposely are doing this stuff. And I think their constituents are allowing them to do this because it's what they want to. Because they don't, nobody, the only person that wants to run a fair race is the fastest guy. Nobody else wants to run a fair race. The guy that knows he's going to lose doesn't want to run a fair race. He wants some kind of advantage, whether it be steroids, or whether it be I jumped the gun, be whatever it is and stuff. And so they understand that their policies and their thoughts are not particularly welcome. They're only, they used to be at 100%, and they're down to 30% for the country. And so they want their power back. And they understand that. The one thing I would say about that, though, is that it's shown in Georgia for their election and stuff. It's shown across the nation is if Black people want to mobilize and Black people really want to vote and stuff, there's not enough obstacles that they can throw in our way for it not to happen.
Right.
And so one of the things that we have to say is that we just want it to happen. And because, quite honestly, if these are our obstacles, it's not fire hoses and dogs. And so we come from a better stock than that. And I think that we can get past a lot of this stuff. And a lot of us are like, well, it's inconvenient. Well, there's a lot of things that are inconvenient. That's why people get to be out of shape and stuff. That's why, you know what I mean? That's why relationships suffer, because it's inconvenient to try to work on those kind of things. I'm not talking about you. But I'm just saying that if we want to fight for it, we can fight for it, no matter what they put out there.
Well,
it gets tougher when you talk about taking away folks' eligibility to vote. You know what I mean? People, first of all, you have to be eligible to vote, and then you have to go through all the mountains that they put up in your way to get to vote and make sure you're voting within the right lane. So yeah, no, I hear you. I get what you're saying. 110%.
Yeah, you're right, Brad. And the only way to overcome that, because you're right, because they're purging roles and things like that.
Right.
Even sooner than later, keep verifying that you're on the roll. Keep verifying that you know your precinct location and that it hasn't changed. Because now, if there was a mistake where you went to the wrong precinct, they will go ahead and let you provisionally vote. But what a lot of these laws are doing now is that if you, by mistake, your precinct has been in the same place for 20 years, and now all of a sudden they done changed it and moved it because the districts have been rewritten and changed, guess what? You could have voted, but it's not going to count because they're going to say you voted in the wrong place. And that where that was allowed before in Georgia, you can't do that anymore. Go ahead, Jermaine.
Yeah, but see, here's my counter, and I know it sounds like let me say that I understand what you're saying. I understand what they're doing. It's not fair. It's making it harder. It's not making it easier and stuff. But I follow Black Twitter, and we can look shit up. We can find shit. People post pictures of people, and they can find out their address and everything about them and stuff. So you can't tell me you can't find your polling location. You can't tell me you can't look up to see if your name's been purged from a roll. You can't tell me you can't figure out how to go back and re-register yourself. Even if they purge my name, I check before I go, and I just go register again.
Yeah,
okay, you took my name off and put that
go ahead, Brad,
back.
I think the point is that you need to know that you need to do it.
But the cats, those cats that are on the outside who are not involved, who are not woke, they're not going to be. They don't want to be bothered with going the step to find it out.
What it is that
that's on the nose for me, Brad, because those people weren't going to vote no way.
Nah, but they've been energized.
They're not going to vote.
There are activists out here who are getting them to the polls. You know what I mean? They're getting them up and active and moving to the polls. So the first barrier or several barriers, our response, our famous response is, fuck it. You know what I mean? Fuck it. I tried. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of my point, is that we go hard for Jordans, but we can't go hard for legislation. And because of that, I get on here every week and I have this lesson about, racism in this country and stuff and all the evil shit that has been done to us and stuff. And so let me one time flip the script and say that we as a community need to somehow energize ourselves and educate ourselves enough that, number one, we stop killing ourselves in our own communities. We gentrify our own stuff. We buy back our own blocks and stuff. There's enough resources out there for us to come together and really do some shit. We just choose not to. And so with this legislation, they're right. It does make it harder, but there are a lot of people out there who are not going to vote anyway. They were just looking for an excuse not to vote. Oh, it's raining out there. Oh, it ain't going to make no matter. Oh, my vote don't count stuff. I'm glad that in Georgia we saw some change, and I hope that continues and stuff. And I hope it continues not just in our elections and stuff, but in how we deal with our communities as a whole, our cities and stuff, where we live, everything, everything. I really do. I'm really passionate about that. I really think that we need our own political parties if we're ever going to get anywhere. I think that we have a grassroots systems with our community of churches and stuff in every neighborhood on just about every damn corner, organizing from there out and really getting our people back together. But this whole thing, it is shady and stuff. But to that, I would say, yeah, it's hard, but I've seen us overcome some shit, and I know we could do it if it was important to us.
And that's everybody. The thing.
Not just the four of us.
And yeah, Jermaine, and that's what to your point, that's what I was going to say. It's all about personal motivation. Brad, man, we all know, because we all live around them. We all see them every day. Yeah, people seem to be motivated in the moment. It's just like going to church services for the afternoon when the choir just finished singing and everybody's kind of hyped in that moment. And, you feel like, oh, the preacher preached a good word and woo, woo, woo. But then a few hours later, you're going to go do something else. You don't even know what the sermon was about. It's all just, we have to take a personal interest in this and realize and really push the importance of the voice and use this as a reference point. Whenever we start talking to our fellow community out there, let them know, do you see what happened in Georgia? Do you see this is why they want you to continue to think like this?
Right.
They want to continue to push that narrative. Oh, your vote don't count. If your vote didn't count, guys,
they wouldn't be fighting so hard to take it from you.
They wouldn't be fighting so hard right now. They wouldn't be fighting so hard. Same thing about a lot of things, about getting vaccinated, about all this stuff. I mean, just about everything you do is politicized in one form or the other. And if it's something that you just gotta educate yourself. Stop being so lazy. Stop letting other people do the work for you. A long time ago, it was in that Willie Lynch letter. He said it flat out. That man didn't hide nothing. He said, if you want to keep people from knowing stuff, put it in a book because they won't go read it. It was harsh. It was nasty, but it was the truth because he thought he knew the mentality overall for Black people was just too lazy. And in most cases, sometimes our very own people prove us true. I hate to say it, but sometimes our very own people prove us true. I mean, even when it comes to something that's going to benefit them, you're just going to have those people, man. You're just going to have them.
That's why what happened in Georgia was even more special. Because so much that they got these two senators elected, you got to go back to the last governor's race. They were motivated then, and they were flat out cheated of her sister's election. He flat out cheated, threw people off the polls. He cheated. He oversaw his own goddamn election. How is that even possible? So they did it then. And then they did it years later. So it was almost like a sustained activism. And that's kind of what we're looking for people to be continually engaged, not just at the national presidential election, but of course.
And that's what me and Brian be talking about. It's not just for your presidential elections. We're talking your local. We're talking anybody that's going up for a seat. Anybody. I'm talking sheriff. I'm talking governor. I'm talking
judges.
Well, in North Carolina, we don't call them aldermen. We call them something else. But if anybody's going for a seat that they have to be voted in, that's what you need to be paying attention to.
Right. Well, in Georgia proved that. Georgia proved that taking care of the local has a huge effect on the federal. If Ossoff or not, one or the other or both had not won, Mitch McConnell would be the majority leader in the Senate right now. There would not have been a damn stimulus.
Is he not?
No, Joe Manchin is.
That don't seem like it.
No, well, it ain't Chuck Schumer, but it does feel like it's more Joe Manchin, because if Joe Manchin is a corporate Democrat that is basically, this is a money thing now, because nobody can be that stupid to think, even after Mitch McConnell says 100% of my energy is into making sure that Joe Biden's policies do not get enacted, yet you still got this fool from West Virginia, and I ain't trying to say nothing about West Virginians being in the mines and all that shit. But after you hear the man flat out tell you that he ain't gonna work with you, your retort is, you still want to do stuff. I don't want to pass it if it's not bipartisan. He just told you that him and his whole caucus ain't gonna work with your ass, and you still talking about I want to be bipartisan. And I'm
He's
sitting there
never
going,
hit it.
and
He's
then
never
Chris
hit
Cuomo,
it. He's
Chris
been saying that since Obama.
Well, Chris Cuomo pushed him and said, but he just sat there and said he ain't gonna work with you. And Joe Manchin says to him, he's just one guy. And he says, yeah, but he's the leader.
He's the leader.
It ain't like he's some senator in Hawaii whose name you don't know. He's the fucking leader. So you can't just dismiss Mitch McConnell like Joe Manchin did and say, oh,
no,
yeah, but
the man has
find 10 other senators.
Yeah, the man
anyway
has pull. He has power, right?
Yeah, he's saying, well, we'll still find 10 other Republicans to go along with stuff, so we don't have to go through reconciliation. Look, I know you're doing your camera ops, Joe. I get that right now, but at some point you're gonna have to realize that they never were truly interested. And whatever you're gonna pass that you can pass through reconciliation, go ahead and do it, because the more wins that you have going into 2022, the better chance you have to survive
the better standing
this
you have.
onslaught.
Right.
You better hope that these other Republicans that are talking about doing a third party really do it, because that may be the only way that you don't lose a bunch of seats in 2022.
You know what? I hope they do. I hope they do. I hope they create. I hope they create.
It won't be enough to help Republicans win, but it could be enough to help Republicans lose. And that's my point.
Because so I hope they do make it. I hope they do.
Because right now, historically, the party that's in power does not do well in the midterms, and their margins are the smallest that they've ever been. They're 6 seats away from being in the minority in the House, and they're 50-50 right now in the Senate. You have no margin for error, and any other election time, that does not look good for you. So you gotta get shit done. Joe Biden, you do not have 4 years. You have less than 2.
Right.
Yeah.
You need something to run on, and they are not
stop pussyfooting, man.
And they're not playing with you in good faith. They're basically stringing you along to basically run out the clock and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do it," and they keep looking at the clock. Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Right.
And we just sitting there going.
He's already talking about taking some things off the pile for the infrastructure bill. He's already talking about lessening the bill. I don't think he should. I think he should go straight ahead for it.
Well, here's the problem. Everybody agrees on infrastructure, but they do not fundamentally agree on how to pay for it. Right. Joe Biden wants
That's the problem.
He wants to raise the tax rate back.
Right.
I mean, not back. He wants to raise it up to 28%. It was 35 before Trump lowered it to 21. He wants to raise it. But the problem is this. You've got not only Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema that don't want to raise it, you've got even more moderate Democrats like Mark Warner in Virginia. You've got, somebody else I was thinking about, that they don't want to do it either. And you know why? Because they get donations from, you guessed it, corporations. Republicans and Democrats are both corrupt. You follow the money and you see that dictates whether they make a decision or not, or if it's a good decision. It's not based on the constituents, because who doesn't want better broadband, roads, bridges, highways? Hell, if you think about it, broadband is okay in New York City, but it ain't in rural Iowa. And I guarantee you, it's more damn Republicans in rural Iowa and South Dakota and North Dakota and Idaho, where broadband would be a really big thing. Those are Republican states.
And that's my point, is that the American people want that infrastructure bill because it affects all of us. They also agree on how to fund it. But we won't hear that part because they're going to get so much stake in Washington.
Well, they're going to scare them, Brad. They're going to tell them, well, if we make Jeff Bezos and them, if we make Bezos and them pay for it, then that's going to kill jobs. It's a job killer. They've been saying this shit for 30 years that raising taxes kills jobs. Ain't a damn bit of evidence about that.
Right.
Ain't a damn bit of evidence about it. When it went up to 35%,
you can't convince them that Ronald Reagan's plan failed. You can't convince them that if
you go to Republicans,
because he's a god in their eyes.
Show me one time when trickle down economics actually worked. Won't be able to show you. But it ain't about showing you. It ain't about showing you the work. It's about scaring you into believing that if you go down this socialist path, then forever you will be. And I'm sitting there going, well, damn, what's been so wrong with this socialist path? Because that's helped a whole lot of businesses through PPP programs stay afloat. It helped a lot of people with corona payments. It helped a lot of people with child tax credits and things like that. What is so damn wrong with this socialist program? We've had Social Security and Medicare for years. That's socialist. We've had corporate welfare for years. Fuck, that's socialist. Anytime we bailed out the banks, anytime we sitting there keeping businesses afloat, that is socialism. But they don't explain it to them that way.
Yeah, you can't, because what they're doing, what they're working on the other side are buzzwords, right? So, socialists and all those buzzwords to scare the shit out of their side. Because remember, they've got the Walmart action on their side. Yeah. They've got the Walmart action on their side. So they're not gonna open up too many books either on that side. So the buzzwords about his socialist agenda and this 1619 project, it's gonna ruin your kids, all of that stuff. It's just scaring the hell out of people on the other side. It's hitting us. I mean, I suppose this week in our little neighborhood about asking people to contact their congressman about the 1619 and the socialist education agenda that they'd like to push.
Wow.
Give me a break.
Wow.
Give me a break.
All right, Jay, final thoughts.
I'll tell you this just to end up. In 1929, when the stock market crashed and stuff, what they did was, when men lost their jobs at the factories and they just wherever they were working and stuff, and they were in bread lines, society still looked at those grown men and said they were bums, because it was easier to blame them than it was to blame the corporations who had put everybody in that position.
Wow.
It's easy to turn to individuals, like when we're talking about today, the social corporate welfare and stuff. That's viewed as helping America. But what is America if it's not the people? Right. And I think that's the thing that we got to remember. Whether we're Democrats or Republicans, we're all Americans and stuff. We all want the same things. We want to be safe. We want to feed our families. We want that protection. We want shelter. We want our kids to grow up and share the ideals of what this country professes that it wants to be. Sometimes as Black Americans, we get viewed in the wrong light because we're very passionate and we're very outspoken about the promises that have not been kept with us. And that's because we have so much invested in this country, and we love the country for so long that it didn't love us back. But we're not going to leave, because this is where our roots are, this is where our history are, this is where our family are, and this is where our future is. And so we're not doing things to defame the country. We just want to identify the weak spots so we can weld those spots strong again and build something better. and I'd like to announce that I'm running for Congress. No, but seriously,
I'm with you. I'm like, put me on the team, coach.
Why is that funny?
Yeah. Why is that funny?
Decorated military man. Decorated military man. Running your own business and you're like, what's so funny?
You're so far removed from that porn career. I don't think the opposition research would even figure it out.
I don't know.
Why'd you do that, Brian? Why'd you do that, Brian?
Besides, we look enough alike. You could just say it was me. That I was going all in that. So
yeah, it was you.
You got an alibi. You can do the R. Kelly and say that was my brother or something. That was Avant.
That was my brother. That was my brother that choked that girl to death.
Yeah, I ain't peed on nobody.
Making that movie. He choked her with
but seriously, my point to all this and all our conversations is that we get on here and we have a good time and stuff, but it's really because we really care, and that's why we're so opinionated and stuff about the things that we talk about on the show and stuff. And I really believe that for anybody that does listen, and I believe Brian's giving into the analytics because he didn't want to talk shit about West Virginia. He must have saw that he had a couple of viewers over there in West Virginia. We love y'all. But we really, for anybody listening to stuff, take this stuff, research it. I mean, you fact check me all day. Send emails to the Empower Network, and tell me that I'm wrong about, my history and stuff. I'd be more than happy to debate it with anybody and stuff. But really, just all in all, we've seen this stuff before. It's not new. So the idea that we can be divided so easily is what's disturbing to me. That we can think that we can disenfranchise people for their voter rights. We can kick a prominent woman out of a party because she wants to speak truth to power. That Tim Tebow deserves another chance in the NFL. I think we should all come together and say no to that shit too. But we just really need to stick together. All in all, I'm trying to end on a high note. My last thoughts. But yeah, no, I just think that I think there's a lot going on. I think we weather the storm better as a group than individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
As with anything. Yeah.
Brian, we went this whole hour. We talked about Tebow. We didn't talk about this gas thing at all.
Man,
I was going to end on the gas.
Time just got away from us.
Yeah,
we got to get on.
I'm overseas. I don't even know what y'all talking about.
Yeah, you know what we talking about.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We had a gas. I ain't been nowhere in 2 days because I got a nice full tank. But
that looks like that says the Durham Hotel behind you, man. That's it. I think you just up in. I think you just in Durham.
He said the Durham Hotel
with a couple of chicks in the room. I think that's what that.
Oh,
no, that's what it is. You know what he doing?
My wife watches this show.
Anyway, nah, I just
but yeah. So
I saw some really funny stuff, man. I was wanting to talk about that, but. We got so political.
We definitely ran out, and hopefully by the time we have the show next week, everything will already be restored back.
Right.
Back to normal.
Colonial did turn the pipeline back on yesterday, but there still may be some.
They paid them. They paid the ransom.
They didn't, but they must have paid that ransom.
Yeah.
But they said that they turned it back on, so there's gonna. But it's you're talking about 5,000 miles, I think it is something like that. Or 15, something like that.
It was 5,600 some odd miles
worth of pipeline. So they turned it back on. Mm-hmm. So gas stations will start to fill up.
But it's going to be the ones that they have. Movies, 5,000 miles of pipe.
That was one of your movie titles, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was trying not to.
I kept trying to remember the name of it. I think it was 5,000 pipe. Yeah. So
5K, baby.
Maybe you should just start. Maybe you should start small and just run for like a city councilman. Don't go for Senate yet. Dip your toes in the water because that 5,000 might come back to haunt you.
We just saying like we got some things that we still need to clear up.
Yeah, I'm saying that after they see that 5,000 pipe, they might be hiding all their white women.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
They'll sneak out.
All those grainy videos from the late 80s are gonna show up, right?
Bow chicka bow wow, bow chicka bow wow.
My own sound effects.
All I'm saying is, if you go to Jermaine's house and you see a red couch, don't sit on it. But
stay away from the red couch.
Yeah, he got that red leather couch. Don't sit on it. Yeah, I'd stand up the whole time. Anyway, we're going to get up out of here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. As always, we have a great time. They are correct. We are praying to God that gas is back by the weekend because it's hot girl summer down here. And I don't know about y'all, but driving through downtown Charlotte on a Friday, Saturday night, oh, Jesus. Sorry.
Bro.
I forgot my
Rex
wife.
on top of Rex.
But yeah, it's
Rex
hot girl
on
summer.
top of Rex.
We're going to need them to be able to travel and to wear absolutely nothing on the streets of Charlotte. So with that said, I am Brian Parker. This is Head to Head. We're going to thank our guests, C.J. Jones, Brad Coffin, and also the franchise, Mr. Jermaine Parker, for joining us. Hey, I normally tell y'all to wear damn masks, but since the CD said if you've been vaccinated, you don't need no damn mask. What I will say is if you haven't been vaccinated and your 12 to 17-year-old kids ain't been vaccinated, yes, indeed, wear a damn mask.
Wear a damn mask.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.